Hey, you guys, welcome. I am Tracy. This is my channel, Tracy from the Mermaid Cove, y'all. And what's going on? What's in this bag? How cute is that bag? This is my library, one of my library bags. So we're gonna talk. We're gonna see what books are in my library. You guys who've been around know I love picture books, kids' picture books. They're amazing. I can't say enough. I mean, think about like Goodnight Moon or mine was Go Dog Go, but that's another story. Just think of Richard Scarry books. Y'all have influenced me and Dr. Seuss. Honestly, they have totally influenced, but Richard Scarry especially, and his books are still published. We get them all the time at the library. Kids still love them, right? That was the 60s, late 60s, 70s, y'all. I have almost every copy of every one. I love them. I do use them a little bit in my art. I mean, I couldn't sell it because it's not my copyright, but I do enjoy seeing them on stuff. As a matter of fact, I'm starting to work on my planner, which is a whole nother story. And I have ones that are falling apart. So I might cut out some of my people that I like and put them on my planner. But y'all, picture books, right? I've got a nonfiction one and I've got one that technically fiction. So this one is called Big. And Vashti Harrison is the writer and the illustrator, the creator, and she won the Caldecott. And I think she's the first African-American woman to actually win the Caldecott. The Caldecott is an award given every year to best picture books. There's different categories and stuff, but so when you see this book printed again, you're gonna have Caldecott. And it's really cool because that kids get lessons at school, like go grab a Caldecott, or Newbery, I think is fiction. So there's all kinds of different, the Coretta Scott King has an award, all kinds of different awards going on. So that might be fun for you to just Google that and look for those books at the library and see how they've changed through the years. A lot of them are probably, you can look them online for free through different, like Libby Hoopla, stuff like that. Anyway, Big. Okay. Now I look at everything pretty much, but this like broke my heart. And what's so important about books like this, and you know, people get all upset. Why is there a book about drag queen? Why is there a book about people with two parents that are same sex? That kind of thing. Because it's normal. And it normalizes it. And a 5-year-old kid reading the books is not going to think, wow, that's weird. Because, you know, you're not coming across it in your life unless that's your life, right? Now, I live in a very interesting area. I work in a very interesting area. And it's very progressive. It's very inclusive, right? So this book, though, being large is really one of the last things I think that can be made fun of and people look down at. And, and you know, let me show you this girl's face. Let me find a good one. All right, well, let's just wait. A good one. But she's so beautiful. And one thing, when y'all are looking at picture books, look at the end pages. Sometimes there's nothing, but I love those. I mean, I'm obsessed with lines and shapes and stuff. But look at her. She wants to be a ballerina. Now, I can tell you I had a bad experience with a ballerina teacher. I was maybe 9 or 10. And, you know, I'm not the most coordinated person. Now I know it's because of my ADHD. But you're a kid. I'm not trying to be a ballerina. I'm not trying to be in Swan Lake, right? I'm not trying to be a nutcracker. So, yeah. But anyway, the story opens up with, once there was a girl with a big laugh, a big heart, and very big dreams. The girl's born big, okay? Not fat, not overweight, just big. So anyway, she gets fed, she's learning, her family loves her, and she dreams, and she grows. And look at that face. And it was good. But then what? She went to school. Or she sits on, she can't find clothes that fit. Are you a big girl, aren't you, says Santa. You know, and there it is, the shame. Because we all know when someone says you're a big girl, it's not meant in a nice way. It's just not. It's too sad. Look at this face. She didn't fit in that. Look at that face. The hurt. And my God. So you start to internalize that, right? Something's wrong with you. Don't you think you're too big for that? And she said it made her feel small, right? Like you try to shrink your size down. You try to shrink. Now I talk and have a personality, but now she said the words stung and were hard to shake off. How sad. Too big. Too loud. I always get that. You're too much, right? And so she began to feel not herself. She began to judge herself. And the thing is, she was big, but she began to feel invisible. 100% understand this. And everyone had advice. Do this, do that, try this, try that. Oh, and as a ballerina, she gets to be a big dark cloud. And you're just too big, right? You're too big for the world. You don't fit in. And you know what? It breaks her heart. You upset a little. I mean, just precious kid. But she has a meltdown, a complete and utter meltdown, right? She starts to feel so confined that it releases something in her and she cries and cries and I mean, look how beautiful this illustration is. We all 100% understand that. And I'm not showing every picture because it's not, you guys should find it. Aren't you too big to be crying? Have you tried being smaller? Why can't you just fit in? Why can't you lose inches in your height? Like, why can't you be 5'5" instead of 5'9"? Like, can't you like go on your knees? Right? And one day she finally let it all out. She cries and look at that. Her illustrations and her expressiveness are amazing. And she cried and she started to see things more clearly. She started to be a big creative person. There's all kinds of things out there. And she was able to see her way out of that. Look at this. Amazing. You guys, amazing. Please, I mean, honestly, you should purchase this book. I probably will buy it. And one day, when she's ready, this is one of my favorite things. She hands back the words that people gave her. These are yours. These words are yours. They're not my words. She hands them back to the people and says, they hurt me. Right? Hands them back. I love that. Because these words are not for you. And it's hard sometimes not to absorb words. I mean, I've gotten to a place now because I'm older where you can't help sometimes a sting or whatever, but now I'm old enough to take time and like, okay, what just happened, right? And that's like wounds that should be, are coming up to be healed. So not everyone listened or understood. Kids still called her whale. She still was called big girl, too big. And somebody says, I did not mean to hurt you. I can help you change if you want. Sorry, I didn't mean to hurt your feelings by saying you're not good enough, you're not okay. But I can help you change. So you are good enough and you are okay. Come on, let me help you. No, thank you. I like the way I am. And she was just a girl. And she was good. Imaginative, creative, compassionate, gentle, smart, funny, sweet, kind. So how amazing is this book, y'all? When I first got, so when we get new books, we just have a cart and all the, children's librarians look at it before they go out to the public. And just so we know it's in stock. And that's the first place I go sometimes with lunch. I just go get my own, I either wheel the whole cart back or I get my own cart and pick ones I'm interested in. And so I had come across this and I gave it to a couple of people to look at. I'm just like, this is amazing book. So you guys, and maybe your issue as a kid is maybe that's not being your size. Maybe it's just the way your brain works. There's so many things now. Maybe it's, again, your skin color. Maybe it's, it can be anything, right? To be made to feel other or like you don't fit in. And why this is necessary in the world, I do not know. Does it make somebody feel good because they can say you're not okay? Makes them okay. And of course, we all know people who really do this are not okay. and want others to feel bad. I don't know. But I'm so thrilled that this won the Caldecott. And if I was a little girl and I had this, because I was a little feisty. I don't know. But even now it's bringing up stuff to heal, right? Very powerful. So my nonfiction book is, and again, you don't have a library around you. I'm sorry that you need to move. Okay. Flat out move yourself near a library. And I know not all library systems, like my friend lives in Texas and she doesn't have a good library system. So I understand that. But there's still going to be some stuff there. Or go to your, are there bookstores? I mean, we have one, I have one, a Barnes & Noble, not too far. Especially if you can find an independent bookstore, that's worth going and, But nonfiction books are amazing, you guys. And this is a biography and her name is, I can't think. Y'all, I can't remember. Let me read this a little bit. So in 16th century Portugal, 16th century Portugal, to be Jewish meant keeping it a secret. The king forbade suspected Jews to leave the country. But Donna Garcia devoted her resources, intelligence, and influence to escape and to help others do the same, dreaming of a land where Sephardic, Sephardic, I know I'm not saying that right, I apologize. Jews could freely follow their beliefs and sing their Ladino songs together in peace. So, and it's written by Bonnie Goldberg, illustrated by Alida Masari. And then I immediately go and start Googling what else they have. But on Friday night, it's this Shabbat, and they had to hide and do everything. This is 16th century. So I don't know if they sat in tables like that. I mean, that's interesting. But just look at the textures of things. But let's see. So she dreams, again, you have to hide, right? You can't be who you are because it's not acceptable. And she dreams of a different world. So she grew up and married another. They call them secret Jews. And her husband bought a fleet of ships. They brought in spices and silks from India, from the Indies. And they presented, so they were wealthy, and they presented they call this, some of their treasures to the king, who agreed in return not to arrest secret Jews. Not them, but everybody. When her husband died, then she took over the business, which, hello, unheard of, right? We always know it was like, look at her face. Look at that expression. And, we know this, that women didn't have roles, but secretly women had roles. It's so fun so she kept giving the king gifts to protect her people. But it became harder and harder. So she wanted to move to another. So Donna Garcia pretended she was making a short trip to take her nephews to their school in Antwerp. And she said goodbye to her home. And again, look at all this texture and stuff. Even like the clouds here, look at that. Can you see? There's a texture. I love it. I'm going to do that, y'all. So they left, but then she worried about everyone left behind because she wasn't there, right? So at night, they would sneak into the harbor and people would come and she would take them away. But they kept having to move because it kept not being safe for them. They eventually went to Istanbul. They moved to Antwerp, Venice, Ferrara, and eventually to Istanbul. So they started here and had to move. Does this sound familiar? Is this changed? Does the world? So whenever she heard of people being captured, she risked arrest to rescue her people. Her messengers faced kidnapping by pirates to free captured Jews. But she was saving the world. Finally, the Sultan of Great Ottoman Empire invited her to live in Istanbul, where Jews were welcome, no more hiding. So they got to celebrate the Sabbath freely and openly every Friday night. So it says, now that she was saved, Donna Garcia knew it was time to restore the treasures her people had lost in hiding. She helped to print Jewish books and to build synagogues and schools. 16th century, y'all. And it says, she grew old, dreamed of a land where Jews could be forever free to light their Sabbath candle, where the smell of bacon challah would fill the air, where Jews could gather together to tell their stories, chant their Sabbath prayers, and sing their Ladino songs. So I just, stuff like this, regardless of politics today, right? I don't follow, I don't understand. And so she lived from 1510 to 1569. She was 25 years old when her husband died. She was one of the most powerful women of the European Renaissance. And then when the Inquisition came to Portugal, they left. And she ended up living in Istanbul. That was called Constantinople, where she lived openly. So I don't know, there's just, how fun to be a researcher, y'all, and find stuff like this. Like, amazing. But the art, and so one of the reasons, you know, I love too is to see the different art, like clouds with that. I'm going to do that. I'm going to take a picture of that. So anyway, that's just too a nonfiction and, you know, fiction or picture books that are available. Like, I give this to my older, people who are really good readers. I either put on hold for them or I give it to them, because it's such a great story. And there's so many stories like that. Like, we were told women didn't do anything. Well, we know that's not true, right? They had to do it secretly. It's like what Ginger Rogers did everything Fred Astaire, but in heels and backwards. So there's all kinds of great stories like that. And what a great thing. You know, it's so sad we can't read that and think, wow, that's how people were treated. You know, like, there's another book I just read about a little girl who was Syrian and her journeys. There's just amazing people out there. But let's go to some happy, fun stuff. Anyway, very powerful, very powerful. And you get kids, and even like they put it so easily that you can't get lost. Like, it's just, this is about people being treated badly, right? And people who stepped up to try. Now, that man who, you know, I'm sure everyone has seen that. If not, Google it on Instagram or Google it. I don't remember his name because that's just, but he was in an auditorium with his wife, and he had saved all these Jewish people, these kids, and never told anyone. And then one of his kids found something about it, and so they wanted to celebrate him. So he's in this auditorium, and they're honoring him and talking about him. And then it's pretty big, not crazy, you know, it's big. And it said he's sitting with his wife, and he's already emotional, you can tell. And, you know, and they say, anyone who was saved by him, stand up. And the whole audience stands up. And he gets up and looks around. And honestly, it's so powerful that one person can make a difference. So they're making a movie of it. I'm not sure if I can watch it. I could probably watch the second half. But anyway, you know, I think is it David McCullough that used to say, when there's violence and strife, look for the angels. There's always people there, but it's just the shame, right? And that's why I can't watch the news. That's why I don't read things about it, because nothing's changed. Really, because humanity hasn't changed. There's just good people, people who are indifferent. There's people who risk their lives. There's people who cause violence and chaos and can see people as not people. But let's go to something fun. Mochi cakes and bakes. Simple yet exquisite desserts with ube, yuzu, matcha, and more. I still don't understand matcha as a cake ingredient, but y'all, okay. But what I want to do in here, because I'm not allowing myself to make photocopies mostly, listen to this tiramisu mochi. That looks complicated, but we're going to make, I got to do it soon. Look at this strawberry mochi, y'all. Let me look real quick. Yeah, no, it's Azuki red beans, y'all. I love red bean paste. Like, they make these, it's so good. Water, brown sugar, vegetable oil, a mochi base, whole milk, and strawberries. So yeah, so that's not flour. Here's what I want to make. Espresso brownie batter mochi brownies. So it has butter, instant coffee, glutinous rice flour, which I have, granulated sugar, cocoa powder, baking powder, salt, milk, eggs, dark chocolate, 45% cocoa, roughly chopped. That's what was throwing me off my game, and flaky salt. But I'm just going to make them with what chocolate I have. So all kinds of interesting, fun things. Tang Zung. I'm bad. I wish I'd started learning Chinese at the beginning. 30 years later, probably be good. Milk bread, y'all. So there's all kinds of interesting things in here. Vietnamese coffee, tres leche. So anyway, I'm going to make that brownie. I'll take y'all with me. And then let's do some art stuff. So this one is the joy of acrylic painting. Now, y'all, I'm taking classes and I've got stuff screenshot. I got stuff from Instagram, but sometimes it's just fun. And the first thing I always do, look at this. So that just really, that's awesome. But I love to read about the becoming an expressive artist. You can't use up creativity. The more you use, the more you have. Maya Angelou. But I like to see people's processes. I like to see what they use, right? And then let's see, ideas for painting notes. So what she does is she's collecting things. And I'm finding that very useful and interesting. Like I said, I would just sit down and try to do something. But y'all, people keep things, they play, they mess around with color, and they might work in a sketchbook, and then they might go to the canvas. So she's just keeping textures and colors and doing some doodling, which y'all know. I'm obsessed with the doodling right now. And song titles, just things that inspire the art. And then talk about how, you know, the things you should bring: your heart, your hand, and your eye. If you really start to take apart the obstacles of what are stopping people from living a more creative life, it's always fear. It's very rarely not fear. Elizabeth Gilbert, Big Magic, you guys. Again, go to your library, go online. Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert. I listen to it. Regardless if you think you're creative, it's really not about just like being a painter or a sculptor or that. It's really just about creative living. It's a phenomenal book. It's a wonderful book. So there's all kinds of like color things and just, you know, different stuff. So I love spending time with that. And then Beverly, I went through and ordered all kinds. Y'all, I am a concierge librarian. I'm not technically a librarian. I work in the library, but I am a concierge librarian for my girl Beverly. And, you know, we're starting watercolor and she's more serious about it, wants to do, you know, we're different artists, of course. So I went through and got almost every watercolor book we had, old ones, new ones. So I grabbed a couple for myself. And like she's returned a bunch and she's kept a few that really speak to her because you don't know. And what's interesting, you could go 6 months and a whole nother batch would speak to you. But this is called Watercolor Lessons, How to Paint and Unwind in 20 Tutorials. Emma Lefebvre. Y'all, I'm just bad at that. I'm better at work. But, you know, again, I love to see, y'all, I read, usually when I'm reading a book, I read the introduction, I read the title page, I read everything. But like part 1 is techniques, and the whole book is like this. It's all, you guys, this. So one of the things I wanted to do is, when I think I want something, is just to have a book where I draw it and can come back to it. I thought that would be a good exercise. But anyway, look how fun this is, right? Just the stuff, and look at this. DIY watercolor flowers. Marie Boudon, I guess. Anyway, again, I love to see what their supplies are. But look how, see, I can do that. I can do that. Basic techniques, plant directory, floral compositions, basic techniques, you know, paint. So they really break it down into step by step and different things. So anyway, that's some stuff that's in my library bag. What's in your library bag, right? Next time we'll do, we might do another bag of books from my garage. I've been really good about letting stuff go. But yeah, how fun is that? You can just, you know, get your library card. People come in, a lot of people come in when they're retired Or they'll come in and say, I haven't had a library card in years. I'm like, were you hit on the head? What's wrong with you? And people have a misconception that there's fines and it's a hassle. We don't have fines anymore, right? But what does happen is because we're not charging fines and we need our books back, fines were always an incentive to return books, right? Because it's a shared community resource. So what happens now is, let's say we have a 12-week lending period. If nobody's requested a book, you get 12 weeks. Automatically renews. So let's say it's due December 1. That's it. It's not going to renew. December, now you've had it 12 weeks. So on the 18th of December, right, due date ending December 1, it will charge you the price of the book, right? So this book is $22.99, right? Our cap off is $25. Anything below $25, your card's free to use. If you did this one and this one, right, which is $28.99, your card's blocked. But when you return the books, immediately goes back to zero, right? It can't get better than that, right? It can't get better than that. And the reason we don't we don't charge fines, what's the matter of equity, right? Some people work 3 or 4 jobs to get their kids in there and they'll get lots of books. We want people to use a library, right? We don't want people to be afraid to say, well, I'm going to end up with fines or I'm going to end up owing tons of money. They're going to, we don't want that, right? Our equity doesn't come from the money we make in the fines. As a matter of fact, in my county, it all goes in a pot. So I always say we get our share of the liquor and alcohol money. So go get yourself some wine. But that's kind of how it works. And, but there's just we've made it. And of course, people have issues and life things. And, we really do listen to all that's important. We want people using the library. That's our money, right? It's not a dollar fine. It's not even we will charge you a book if you lose it or it gets damaged. But our money, our currency is people coming in. We want people to come in. So we try to remove as many roadblocks or things that we can. Now, some people, y'all, are just too good at throwing up roadblocks. So anyway, that's it, you guys. All kinds of cool stuff. Tell me if there's a subject you're interested in. I could get some books for you. I mean, this is one of my favorite things in the world. And one of my jobs is I get books to send to people at home, right? So I have a relationship. Most of them are 88 and older. One's 99, y'all. So, and she doesn't need glasses to read. She just can't hear. So I have a screaming on the phone when I talk to her. But it's so much fun to pick up books for people. So you let me know if there's a subject. I can recommend. I can be your concierge. I can tell you what to get. I'd be happy to do that. So that's it, y'all. I got to get going. And sometimes I just glance through the book. Sometimes I don't spend a lot of time. Sometimes I spend time, especially now I'm really having a hard time focusing on fiction. And I'm hoping when my cataract surgeries are done, it's going to work better. But you take care. I appreciate you so much. If you're new, please tell me where you're from. Are you a bookworm? Are you like, boo, I turned this thing off. Well, you wouldn't be watching it if you turned it off. But, I show what I'm interested in, right? I mean, it makes sense. Like, I don't want to do just Dollar Tree or $1.75 tree or just this or that. It's about my interests, and they're varied. And they're wide. But big, the picture book big, y'all. There's, you know what? If you were in a position where you can buy books, buy it for all the kids you know. Support her. Support this kind of picture book, And don't let people try to make you feel too small or too tall or too big or too whatever. Really, we've got to fight this. And I hear interactions with kids and parents or caretakers, and it can be heartbreaking. People don't mean to hurt kids. It's just so easy to do because you're so precious, right? But anyway, the little girl in me says, hey, and salutes everyone. And had she known that you guys were out there, that one day she would have this connection with people, yeah, it's amazing. So you take care. I'll talk to you.